Welcome to the Raw Blog. This is the video series in which I talk about my personal experience with the positively focused practice, and also, as a result of recent changes in the way I create this video, providing instruction on how to benefit from the fundamental principles underlying how physical reality work. The principles I have organized into a framework which I call the Positively Focused Framework. And today, there's been so much going on in my life, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that today, other than to say that what you're about to hear, I have implemented in my own life and have experienced tremendous positive results as a result of doing what I'm about to describe. I'm about to offer instruction. If you looked at my Raw blog, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, I talked about how I will be including more instruction in this video series because I don't want to put more time into a wholly different video series in order to provide that instruction. So these are serving kind of as positively focused lectures in addition to sharing my own personal experiences with the positively focused practice. So in this video, I want to talk about putting yourself first and why that is so important. Our civilization has trained us to believe putting yourself first is selfish. The trouble with that way of thinking about putting yourself first is it is a way of thinking that was put together in order to have you specifically not put yourself first and instead put others first. The problem with doing that is, well, there's so many problems with doing that. The biggest problem is that you can't put other people first because there's no one else in your life experience other than you. The people you think you're interacting with are emanations reflecting back to you your own internal state of being on the subject that you believe those people represent to you. So there's no one there to put before you. That's why when you put yourself behind others, you start to eventually become disempowered. Because putting other people before you means putting their needs and wants and desires ahead of your own. And when you do that, you can't satisfy another person's needs, wants, and desires. Certainly you've experienced that in your intimate relationships. When you try to please another, there's always more there to please. And the other continues to make more demands of you because they have become disempowered like you. They believe that their satisfaction comes from you. And then you get on that slippery slope that leads to dissatisfaction in a relationship. So, because you're the only one in your physical reality, it makes total sense to put your needs, wants, and desires ahead of everyone else. There's no one else there. And when you do that, remarkably, not only do you get everything you want, but you become a cooperative component of other people getting everything they want. And that's the best way to serve others. In fact, if you're not doing this, if you're not putting yourself first, you have nothing to give to another. Think about that. Because if you're the only one in your physical reality and you're not putting yourself first, who are you putting first? A distortion. And when you're in a distortion, you're disempowered. And when you're disempowered, you experience negative emotion because the distorted thoughts you're thinking are not aligned with what you know at the deepest parts of you. And so that negative emotion is trying to get you to move out of the distorted thoughts of putting other people before you. But when you put yourself first, align yourself with that deeper part of you, that part of you I call your broader perspective, then you step into your empowerment, your sovereignty. And more important than anything you can do for another or say to another is how you be to another. Your vibrational emanation when you're in your sovereignty is more influential and more powerful than anything that can come out of your mouth or any action you can take with your physical body. It's hard to accept that when you don't have sensitivity fine-tuned enough to perceive vibration, not only in yourself, but in another. But when you get to that level, and all of my masters and very advanced clients are beginning to tap into that level of sensitivity, you're able to feel how people are feeling in your presence. And so it's a really good thing to be able to put yourself first. This is why in the Positively Focused framework, I have this sub-framework called the order of operation. The order of operation is important because it is the guide by which you measure how well you're putting yourself first. The order of operation, I've covered this before, are the 3 priorities, the 3 relationships that should be the top priorities in your life. They are, number 1, your relationship with your innermost self, your broader perspective. That's the first relationship. The second most important relationship is your relationship with your emotions, because your emotions are telling you where you are, how well you're doing on that first relationship, your relationship with your broader perspective. The third priority in your life experience should be your relationship to yourself. So only doing those things that give you satisfaction and more being more joy, more freedom, more happiness, more ease, more self-love. Everything else in your life should come after these 3. And it should make sense because your entire life experience is stemming from the deepest part of you, your broader perspective. And so it makes sense to put that relationship, the relationship between you and your broader perspective first, because that's the source of your life experience. And when you tune that relationship to where you're high flying in very fast vibration, your life experience has to reflect that. The corollary of that is true too. When you have a sucky relationship with your broader perspective, you're in frequent bouts of negative emotion, and as a result of that indicator, your physical reality begins to reflect that discord between you and your broader perspective. It's not punishment, it's an indicator. The physical reality and the negative emotion, they're both trying to tell you that you have your order of operation out of whack. So, entertaining yourself, enjoying yourself, giving yourself the maximum amount of freedom, happiness, and satisfaction should be the order of the day. It is the order of the day in the Positively Focused practice. And when you do that, then you offer the best of you to others in their life experience. You can literally change the experience that another person is having for themselves and the experience they're having of you. You can literally change the behavior of others. It's so good. So recently, Abraham sent out a email message that captures this perfectly. I'm going to put it here on the screen. It says, if we were standing in your physical shoes, that would be our dominant quest. Entertaining yourself, pleasing yourself, connecting with yourself, being yourself, enjoying yourself, loving yourself. Some say, well, Abraham, you teach selfishness. And we say, yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do, because unless you are selfish enough to reach for that connection, you don't have anything to give anyone anyway. And when you are selfish enough to make that connection, you have an enormous gift that you give everywhere you are. Everywhere you are all at once. You are a multidimensional, pure positive being. But you can't emanate that because you have free will. You can't emanate that if you don't put yourself first, which means having your order of operation intact. But when you do that, not only do you feel great, not only does your life experience match that great feeling, that high vibration, but everyone who comes into contact with you, whether they feel it or not, benefits from you tremendously. It's so interesting. I recently had a new client who came to me. I talked about this person a couple of sessions ago. This person came to me wanting to learn how to shapeshift. This was after this person had watched many of these videos on this YouTube channel. This person said after watching the videos, her life was dramatically changed. Just by watching the videos, her life improved tremendously. She said before seeing the content of my channel, her life was filled with what she calls bad luck. I would call that negative momentum, manifestation momentum. And one of the things this person recognized, she has a fair amount of awareness, but not as much as she thought she did. She acknowledged being arrogant, and she also acknowledged the word insecurity as being a trigger for her. Now, arrogance is the flip side of insecurity. Arrogance is what happens when you're so insecure, you try to mask that insecurity with bravado, with arrogance, which is a false confidence. And so when this person became a client, she began to make demands as though she knew better than I do how to offer what I teach to clients. And she wanted to be treated differently. She wanted to be treated specially because she's autistic. The problem was there's so many problems with how she was approaching this. But the biggest problem she didn't understand was a third of my clients are autistic, and all of them are succeeding tremendously in the positively focused framework. But she wanted to make herself an exception because she's autistic. And when I shared with her a comment from one of the masters in my practice who is autistic, to show this new client that there is a master level practitioner of this practice who has done the practice the way I instruct and has had extreme success as a result of this new client, it was so interesting, attacked this person who she doesn't even know in a text message, and then wanted to differentiate herself and double down on her demands that I tailor the practice to her autistic needs. This is like someone wanting to join an elite training regimen, like maybe an Olympic team or maybe the Navy SEALs, and when they join, expecting the trainers to teach them some other way than how the training has successfully taught thousands of other students. It is the height of arrogance. And there was so much that this person did not understand, not only about how the universe works, but about herself, that she ended up self-selecting out of the positively focused practice after only one session. My point here is that if you don't put yourself first, you can't have the self-awareness necessary to have a bigger picture so that you can understand where you stand relative to your broader perspective. If you don't put yourself first, you end up in a state of insecurity. You're insecure because you're not connected to your broader perspective. And as a result of that insecurity, you begin to search for a place to gain some solid ground. And since most people don't understand the fundamental spiritual principles underlying how physical reality works, how the universe works, because most people don't understand that, they often find stability in the function of the ego. The ego is a shaky place to find emotional or any other kind of stability. The ego, psychology has got this all wrong. The ego is not an identity. This is instruction. The ego is a function of the physical framework that you are inhabiting in physical reality. The ego is a function, like your heartbeat is a function that pump. It's a pump. Or your lungs, it's a function. The ego is a function, like your lungs are a function. Your lungs are like a bellows. Your lungs are responsible for bringing in oxygen and exhaling and putting out carbon dioxide. Your heart is responsible for pumping that oxygen throughout your body through your venous systems. These two organs and all the other organs in your body serve as functions. The ego does the exact same thing. It's a function. Its function is it's kind of a distortion, the function. It's designed to create for you the perception of duality. The ego's function is to create in the illusion that is physical reality a sense of separation from that physical reality. If you didn't have an ego, you would perceive yourself as one with physical reality. It's because you have an ego that you don't perceive yourself as one with physical reality, which is why the positively focused practice or some other practice like it is so valuable, because it allows you to transcend that function and perceive yourself as one with all that is without losing yourself in the process. So the ego serves a valuable function. It allows you to function in the distortion as though the distortion is real, by allowing you to perceive a separation where there isn't one. But when a person allows their identity to collapse onto that function, it's just like a person allowing themselves to identify with their heart, the organ, or their liver, or their stomach, or their spleen, or something like that. That's not who you are. You are pure positive energy, much larger than any organ in your physical body or your physical body. But when you collapse onto any of these and make them your identity, especially the ego, then you're on shaky ground. And that's why people who align their identity with their ego are so insecure. It's because the function that is the ego is not designed as your identity. It's a function. It's designed to allow you to perceive separation where there isn't one. Many people have a hard time understanding this when they come to the positively focused practice. And so, identity, there's only one place for identity to be, and that is in your pure positive energy. And you can't have that sense of identity if you're not putting yourself first, which means maintaining a strong order of operation. So, my week this week has been about that. It has been about fortifying my own relationship to those three priorities and putting myself first and recognizing that every move I make in physical reality is for the better, is for improvement, is for expansion. And so I'm experiencing a life experience that is constantly improving, and clients who are constantly getting better, and more clients who are coming to me. In fact, when this one client I was speaking about a few minutes ago, decided to self-select out of the practice, one client decided that they wanted to see me more than once a week, and then another client is onboarding right now. She is the daughter of a client who is the mother of another client. So it's so interesting. This person, the one who self-selected, is demanding that I create a special program for her when the program I offer is benefiting people so tremendously that the people closest to them are wanting to become clients. Why? Because they're seeing their siblings and their parents and their children changing right before their eyes. I love this practice. I love physical reality, but more than anything else, I love myself. I love myself as myself, knowing that I am all that is, and knowing that you are that too. And there's nothing like living your life from that knowing. If you're interested in discovering how to do that, feel free to reach out. There are other people on the planet who are offering this kind of information who you may resonate with better. So feel free to reach out to those people too. But I can promise you, when you find the right teacher, the results you get from implementing something like the practice, the positively focused practice, which is based on the fundamental principles, the fundamental spiritual principles underlying how physical reality works, when you align yourself with that knowing, you become invincible. All right, I'll leave this here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video.